Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel, and in this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. We are just a day before the beginning of talks on the territory of the United Arab Emirates between the delegations of the Russian Federation and Ukraine. As for the Russian side, they have already begun the preparations for this meeting. The special representative of the Russian President, Kirill Dmitriev, will hold meetings with representatives of the Trump administration today. And as for the Ukrainian side, we don't know for sure whether they're going to send the delegation or not. As for the Russians and as for the Americans, we understand that they're trying to synchronize their positions regarding Ukraine, and probably they're going to synchronize their position if Ukraine rejects to send their delegation to the United Arab Emirates. So as we discussed during the previous video, Zelensky stated that the February 1st meeting in Abu Dhabi may be postponed due to the situation regarding Iran. But everybody understands that most likely Zelensky is trying to postpone the meeting on the territory of Abu Dhabi because and due to the situation regarding weather on the territory of Ukraine. So we have already discussed this article. According to information we have, starting from today, Ukraine will face an apocalypse. A brief energy truce coincides with warmer weather, and then the country will be hit by freezing temperatures. And this situation will last for 3 or 4 days. And Zelensky most likely understands that if he sends the negotiation team to Abu Dhabi, most likely this negotiation team will bring a negative answer to the Russian Federation, and most likely right after this situation, the Russians may attack or may launch another massive missile and drone attack through the entire territory of Ukraine, which can lead probably to the complete collapse of the entire energy infrastructure, at least of several cities through Ukraine. As for the previous nights, according to information we have, the Russians launched 85 drones to attack the territory of Ukraine, and the Ukrainian sources are saying that they managed to destroy and to bring down 64 drones. And during the previous nights, as was stated by the Russian Federation, the Russians were attacking not the objects of energy infrastructure, but the Russians were attacking the logistic and military object through Ukraine. During the previous night, we received lots of very interesting videos worth attention. First is the video that was published from the area of the city by the name of Mirgorod. We are talking about the Mirgorod Air Base. This video was published by pro-Russian sources, and here we can see how Russians using new drones with the Starlink system were attacking aircrafts and airfields in this area. As you can see, according to this video, the Russians, as a result of attack, managed to damage or destroy several aircrafts, including F-16s. The sources are saying that those F-16s were let's say made for training purposes, or they weren't malfunctioning. Anyway, F-16s were damaged, Su-27 was damaged, and several radar systems were damaged as well. So as you can see, currently these drones with Starlink systems are a very big pain, let's say a headache for Ukrainian authorities. And according to information we have, currently the Ukrainians are trying to find a solution how to prevent Russians using drones with Starlink systems. And according to information we have, the Ukrainians are trying to resolve this issue with Elon Musk. Another important video, another important area is the territory between the river of Dnipro and the line of combat contact. During the previous 12 hours, we received lots of videos of how Russians using drones were attacking the logistics of the armored forces of Ukraine in this area. In this video, we can see a Russian drone that was attacking vehicles of the armored forces of Ukraine that were moving between the river of Dnipro and the line of combat contact. Another important video is coming from the city by the name of Sinelnikov. As you can see, we have lots of icons. Here we can see a train that was destroyed as a result of attack with the use of a drone from the Russian side. Here we can see the explosion, the moments when the Russians attacked the Sinelnikov railway station. And by the way, this is a very important logistical hub of the armored forces of Ukraine. Here we can see the same, let's say, episode on the same train, but from another angle. As you can see, as a result of attack, the train was completely destroyed and the railway service in this area was completely blocked. Here we can see the same story, but during the night the Russians were attacking this area with drones, probably during 5 or 6 or even more hours. So this is the situation in this area, and this is a very important video, and this is exactly what the president of Ukraine Zelensky was talking about. He said that the Russians shifted their focus from energy infrastructure towards the logistic. And if we take a look at this map, you will see that currently the Russians are trying to establish something like the biggest kill zone area between the cities of Dnipro, Zaporozhye and the line of combat contact. The Russians established complete control over the territory, and the Russians are trying to destroy everything that leaves the cities of Dnipro and Zaporozhye in the eastern direction. What did we receive during the previous months? For example, we received the video that the Russians destroyed the bridge to the north of the city of Pavlograd, which reduces the logistic capabilities of the armed forces of Ukraine. So the cities like Pavlograd and Sinelnikova are the most important cities when talking about Ukraine's logistic. Today we received lots of videos from the city of Sinelnikova, as we discussed, one of the most important logistical hub, and as a result of attack, the train was destroyed. Most likely the railway services are blocked currently. Furthermore, the Russians published lots of videos of how they were attacking railways to the east of the city of Zaporozhye, trying to reduce the traffic and trying to reduce the possibilities of the armed forces of Ukraine to bring additional forces and reinforcements to the line of combat contact. We received lots of videos from the area of Nikolaevka. Here we can see lots of destroyed vehicles, lots of destroyed trucks that probably were trying to bring additional reinforcements and reserves and arms to the line of combat contact. So the Russians control everything in this area, and of course, sooner or later, this will give some results to the Russians, and this may change the situation along the line of combat contact. And another important thing worth attention is that due to the fact that the Russians established complete control over this territory, over the main logistic area of the armed forces of Ukraine between the mainland and the line of combat contact, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly right exactly in this area. And first of all, we are talking about the Zaporozhye direction. During the previous days, the map has been adjusted significantly. So, for example, just yesterday, the Russians improved their positions around the settlement of Irichna. This was stated by the Minister of Defense. Also, yesterday, we received a report that the Russians improved their positions in the village of Tirnovate. This was also confirmed by the Minister of Defense, and furthermore, pro-Russian sources published a video where we might see dozens of flags raised through the entire settlement. And this morning we received another video of how Russians established complete control over the settlement by the name of Svetopetrivka. This video was published today by pro-Russian sources. We haven't added this video to the map. This video was published just a minute ago, but according to this video, the armed forces of the Russian Federation established complete control over the settlement of Svetopetrivka, and the Russians are keeping advancing. So we will adjust the map before the next video. We will discuss the situation in the Zaporozhye direction during the next updates in more details. Now let's move further and let's talk about the Konstantinovka direction. During the previous 12 hours, the Russians continued their offensive operation in the southern part of the settlement, the southwestern part, but we see that the Russians are not changing the lines. It seems that Ukrainians are still holding their positions and they're not allowing the Russians to break through. So this is the situation. We received lots of videos from the southwestern parts of how Russians were attacking positions of the armed forces of Ukraine, trying to break through their defenses. Now let's talk about the Liman direction. During the previous 12 hours, we received changes. These are the changes on the ground between the dates. According to information we have, according to the pro-Ukrainian sources, the Russians managed to shorten the distances towards the city of Liman. Here we can see the edge positions of the armed forces of the Russian Federation and the very heavy fire from the Ukrainian side. Now let's talk about the Kupiansk direction. During the previous 12 hours, we received lots of very important updates. As you can see, the map has been adjusted significantly. So this is the situation by the end of the 30th of January, and we had lots of territories colored with different colors. We have clean gray zones, we have gray zones mixed with the territories under control of the armed forces of Ukraine. We had the territories with both pro-Russian control and Ukraine control. So there was a real mix in this area because it was very difficult to understand what exactly was happening there. But during the previous night, pro-Russian sources published lots of videos that confirmed that indeed the Russians during the previous days managed to improve their position significantly. So this is the video that was published from the settlement of Petropavlovka, and here we can see lots of episodes of how Russians were talking in this area, showing their presence there, showing their positions there. For example, this episode was recorded right exactly at this point. Another important video was published just several minutes after. Here we can see almost the same thing. Here we can see commanders of the group of forces west showing the situation on the ground and showing Russian soldiers moving in different parts of the settlements of Petropavlovka and Podole. Later we received another video from the settlement of Kurilovka. Here we can see the moments when the Russians, two Russian soldiers were moving in this area, showing that there are no problems from Ukrainian side, that the Russians can feel themselves pretty safe in this area. And this morning, pro-Russian sources published another video, this time from the area of the city of Kupiansk-Узловой, that was captured according to pro-Russian sources, according to the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, the Chief of General Staff, several days ago. So this episode took place right exactly at this point. So we have lots of videos, lots of proofs that there are many territories that are either under complete control of the armed force of the Russian Federation or under partial control. So based on this video, based on these videos, we have adjusted the map. And it seems that the Russians are about to finish the battle for the northern parts of the northern Kupiansk direction. Anyway, let's wait and see what is going to be next, because we believe that the Russians are going to keep advancing further. And most likely now the Russians will shift their focus towards the Kovsharovka, the settlement in the southern Kupiansk pocket. Another important update is coming from the northern Kharkiv direction. Pro-Ukrainian authorities announced evacuation or mandatory evacuation was ordered through the villages to the south of the city of Volchansk. So pro-Ukrainian sources, according to information we have, according to media, evacuated the villages of Metalivka, Berezniki, Bugaevka. Furthermore, the Ukrainian authorities evacuated Vishnyovo, Shiroka, Radkova and Gantarovka. So as you can see, these villages are not very far from the line of combat contacts in the area of the cities of Volchansk and Milokolodets. This evacuation means that the Russians most likely will continue advancing in this direction with the purpose to establish complete control over these villages and to continue advancing further along the river of Seversky Donetsk and along the Pechenegi water reservoir. So it seems that the Russians are going to launch the major Kharkiv offensive operation with the purpose to establish complete control over the territory during the early spring military campaign. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds to we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.